Hey guys, it's Lucy here with Cheers to Blogging. So one big request that I've been getting lately is how to create forms and set up your automation for specific freebies or to just get your readers into a specific automation sequence. And so I know it sounds complicated, or maybe you've seen it around and it kind of looks scary, but it's really just process flow maps that are walking you through the steps that your customer, your reader will be taking. And so I usually like to draw this out on a piece of paper just to kind of see, what route or what path I want them to take. But especially if you only have maybe one or two freebies, then that's going to make it super easy for you. And so I'll try, because I tend to go really long and detailed into my tutorials, but I'll try to make this one kind of breezy so that way you can go ahead and get started with creating your own automations. So before we start, we're going to go up here to subscribers and we're going to create some new groups. And so you'll always want to have your main group here. So, whatever your blog is, you're always going to have a generic group that every single one of your readers is going to get entered into. But you're also going to want to create different groups depending on the different freebies that you have. And so that's so that way you can target them or segment them specifically and individually based on whatever it is that they are downloading. And so for this case, I'm going to be creating a form for a travel packing checklist. And so I'm going to add that in here as well. The other group that I want to have is an in workflow, like an in current workflow or something of that nature. And this will come in handy once we get to the automation piece. But the reason why I'm adding this in here is because you want to know when one of your readers is currently going through a step by step. If you have a 5-day email series, you want to know that they're currently in that email series. But I'll kind of go into that part a little bit later. So now you have your 3 groups here. If you have more freebies, then I suggest you do, or if you're going to do different forms for different freebies, you can do different groups for anything that you want to segment them by. And so that's what this step is here. Now we're going to go into the forms and create an embedded form here. So I already have this one, but I'm going to create a new one just to show you kind of the process of it. So you'll create a new form. So I'm just going to create packing travel checklist 2. And let's wait. Okay, so here it's allowing you to select your subscriber groups. So you always want to add them to your Cheers or your main blog group name. And then if this form is going to give them a specific freebie that you want them to be entered into a certain workflow in, then I do suggest that you also select that one. If you're not giving a specific freebie for a certain form, then you should be okay with just, leaving it at your own blog group. But in this case, this specific form is going to say, hey, download your free travel packing checklist. And so in this case, we're going to add them to both of these groups. And I'll explain that in the automation piece later. So now we're going to go next. And we've made it to the form. So know that this form, the background, everything about this is customizable. I'm not going to go into too much detail on creating and customizing the form itself, but everything that you will need to do that is listed here on the right side. And so you can change the type of form that you want to use. I normally just use a default, but it's really just up to you. There's different, again, the different backgrounds. You can add images. There's so much that you can do to this form. But for this video's sake, we're going to keep it nice and simple. And so the only thing I will do here is say sign up for news and special offers. including a free travel packing checklist. Okay, so I'm saving that here at the bottom. And now I need to add in a name field. So I'm going to just drag that up here to the top. I'm going to hit edit, and the label I'm going to add in first and make it a required field. And so the reason why I want to add first is because I don't really want them to give me their full name. You know, whenever I send them the email, I don't want to send it to, hey, Lucy Reyes, happy Friday. That's not how you address your friends. You don't call them by their first and last name, right? You call them by their first name. And so I do change the label so that way it makes it very clear that I only need your first name. And then sometimes that also gives them like a sense of peace, knowing that, okay, they don't have my full information just to get this freebie or just to sign up. Like, she only needs my first name, you know, so their privacy kind of stays safe where they feel it right away. So I'm going to save that. Under settings, you can also choose to add your privacy chat, your privacy policy, or a confirmation. I normally do recommend I have the privacy policy on all of my forms. And so that's something that you can do. You can link to your privacy policy there. You can also edit exactly what it says here. And the other thing you can do that is really cool is you can send them to a specific page. So after they hit subscribe, which I'm actually just going to say, yes, I want this. After they click on this button, you can choose to either send them up here to the success page. Again, you can customize this. And, you know, just say, thank you, your travel packing checklist, it's on its way. Or you can go back over here, I'm saving that, and select this custom success page and send them to a specific URL. So this can either be your blog site, it can be maybe a blog post that's super specific to this travel packing checklist, or something that, you know, if they're downloading this travel packing checklist, then that means that they're probably getting ready to travel somewhere, or they're in the planning phase. So any blog post that can help them with that would probably be a good site to link to. That way you can get them kind of like, whoa, like this person has a lot of good information, right? Another link that you can send them to is a Tripwire page. And so what this is that when they click on this button, it's going to send them to pretty much a sales page where you have a product for sale. So if they're getting the travel packing checklist, then maybe you can get them, you know, like a more full one. So let's say this one is a free travel packing checklist for women. And then you're offering a travel packing checklist for the entire family for, I don't know, $3. And so then you can send them to that page to say, hey, you know, you just downloaded this free travel packing checklist. Do you want this too? It's super cheap and it's on sale for this amount of time only. And so that's another really good idea that you can do here. But okay, back to what we're actually here for, which is the automation. So you can do everything, you can customize this, and for now we're done. So we're going to hit next. I love customizing forms. They're pretty easy. And so once you get the hang of it, you'll probably have fun with this too. All right. So now we have, you can choose to either leave this double opt-in on or off. From what I've heard, if you leave it on, it really does help and get you more into that primary inbox instead of being sent to their promotion. It also double confirms that, okay, yes, they do want to get on your checklist. So that's letting all the algorithms know that, okay, they didn't sign up for a mistake and they actually are signing up to this list. And so if you keep it on, you'll have to go in here to your double opt-in email and change this. So you can edit this as well. And it goes back to this exact same, you know, looking form where you can, instead of saying confirm your email, say, yes, I want my travel packing checklist. You know, it's pretty much a reminder that, hey, you know, by the way, you signed up for your travel packing checklist. Do you really want it? And then you can add whatever customized wording that you want in there as well. Or you can also choose to turn it off. It's really up to you. So you'll see down here that it has these subscribe groups already, which is the main blog site, and then the freebie that they're going to be signing up for. And so you can either choose to create an automation directly from the form, or we can go up here and create a different automation. And so something that I actually recently uncovered is that I am no longer going to be doing the automation from the forms itself, because if I change my form or if I want to create a new form, then I would have to create the automation over again or go back and edit it. So instead, I'm going to go up here. Remember, these are the 2 subscribe groups. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to create a workflow. Okay, now we're getting into the process flow map stuff. So I don't want to lose you if you like taking notes, and this might be a place where you would take notes, or just save this video for later, come back to it whenever you're in the process of doing this. So this first box is what is the trigger. So it's what action the person needs to take to start this workflow. And so instead of it starting when someone submits the form, I'm going to have it start when someone joins a particular group. And so for this one, I'm going to name it Travel Packing Checklist, because that's the automation that I'm going to send them on. And here it's workflow trigger. So you see that you can create automations for so many different things. And so in this case, if we had done it through the form itself, the workflow trigger would have automatically set it to when a subscriber completes the form. But that's not what I want, because again, I'm thinking future-wise, and I've made mistakes where I've had to go back and create my automation sequences all over again because they were tied to a specific form. And so instead, we're going to say when a subscriber joins a group. So in this case, whenever they join the Travel Packing Checklist group is when we want this flow to trigger. So you can choose to either, if they sign up multiple times, that they'll get this workflow all over again, or if not. So in this case, we'll just say yes, and then you save it. And so now you can begin with your automation. And so this is when a subscriber joins this group. So the next step is we want an action, because in this is going to say, this is the same action that I start all my automations with. And so I want to copy them into my in workflow group. And so I want to do this because if they're already in the email sequence, let's say they're getting an email from you every single day for the next 5 days, but then you also send out your weekly newsletter to everyone on your generic list, you don't want to send them that newsletter as well, because you don't want to risk them saying, oh my gosh, this is too many emails from this person. I don't want to be in their email list anymore. So to prevent that, or to help minimize that actually, I'm going to add them to an in workflow. So that way, whenever you're sending your weekly newsletters, you can exclude anyone that's in current workflow. I hope that makes sense. So this is the way that I start every single one of my automations, is I start by adding them into a workflow. If I hadn't added them already through to my generic list, then you could do that as well. So in this case, I'm just going to pretend like I didn't. It won't really do anything since they're already in there, but I'm going to say I want to add them to the current workflow. I want to add them to my generic list as well. or you can choose to add them in afterwards. I mean, there's really so many different ways. There's no one correct way to do an automation. So in this case, I'm just going to show you one way. And so now, so they, they've joined this group. They are in the workflow now. They're in the generic list. Now we actually want to send them their very first email. And so here I'm just going to put welcome. You have to put who it's from. I usually do my whole cheers to life blogging. Okay. And then I already have my stuff connected to Google Analytics, and I select yes because I do want to know whenever someone is clicking on links through my emails. And so from there, I'm going to select email. So I am just going to choose a regular drag and drop editor. So this is going to be the very first email that they receive as soon as they sign up to your email list. So ideally, I'm going to leave this as is because this is, again, you can customize this in every single way that you'd like. Everything is here. But ideally, this welcome email should give them, a good idea of who you are, what your blog is about, what they can expect from you, and then also give them that freebie that they signed up for, right? And so you can do that through adding your link here to the button and saying, maybe you say download travel packing checklist. And then you add the link to wherever you have your checklist stored, whether it's in a platform, in Google, in Dropbox, or even on your WordPress site. Whatever link it is, you can add it in here so that way they can go ahead and download it. So this is the very first email that they are going to get from you. And so once you're done customizing that email, you'll hit done. And there's the very first email. So let's say that by joining this list, you want to send them, let's say 3 emails, right? You're going to nurture them through a little mini email sequence all around this travel packing checklist. Whether, your first email is, like I said, a welcome email telling them what they can expect. Maybe the next email, you want to give them a little bit of travel tips. Because again, if they downloaded this checklist, that they're either in the planning process or they're getting ready to leave for a trip this weekend and they really just need to, something to help them pack up. And so by knowing those 2 things, you can then create another email that either gives them some travel tips, maybe, for, getting on the airport or something, whatever email sequence you're giving them. But you don't want to send that until the next day. And so what we're going to do is we're going to delay 1 day, save, and then we'll add in the second email. So here I'll just do travel tips. Use Google, everything's already pre-populated, and then design that email. And so it's going to be the same thing. You're going to go in here, create your email, add whatever it is that you want to give them in this email. You'll hit done. And then that's going to be it. So you can add delays, you can, you can keep delaying. Now, normally, after an email sequence, I'm going to go 2 different routes here. So let's say it's just a 2 email sequence and now I'm done, right? I don't recommend you finish at 2, but let's say we're done at 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delay. I usually do 3 to 5 days, depending on how many emails they got from me. So I'm going to delay 3 days, and then I'm going to take the action to remove them from the in workflow group. Okay, so let's go through this. So they're joining the travel packing checklist group because they want to get that freebie. So you're adding them into the current workflow so that way you can exclude this group during your weekly newsletters. You also want to make sure that they're in your generic, your overall email list, so that way later on you can start to include them in your weekly newsletters. You send them their first email with your freebie in it. Then you want them to receive your second email the next day. So we're setting the timer to delay a day. Then once you're done with the email series, we're going to wait a few days before they start being sent your weekly newsletters. So we're going to set a delay for 3 to 5 days and then remove them from the in workflow group. So I hope that makes sense. If you make a mess, if you mess up, you can just simply exit out and delete whatever it is that you just did. So another thing that you can do, and this is just not for this specific email series, but something just in general so that way you know, is you can add conditions. So, excuse me, I need to take a drink. Okay, so let's say you have different freebies or you have different groups, something that you want to know, like have they gotten this or have they downloaded that? You can set a condition based on, anything. So campaign activity, did they open this email or did they not? In a workflow, are they in this workflow or are they not? The one that I mainly do use it for, though, is the group membership. So are they also a part of this group? If yes, then I want them, to go down this path. If not, then I want them to go down this path. So this starts to become helpful once you have your own products to sell. Because let's say later on, you're starting to create a product that's specifically targeted to people that have already downloaded your checklist. Because if they downloaded your checklist, then they're more than likely going to buy from you something later on, right? So you want to set the condition at, did they already join this group? Are they in this group? If yes, then you can sell to them in a certain way down this path. If not, but they've downloaded another freebie of yours, but not this one, then maybe you should try to get them to download the freebie first and see if they're interested. And so that's where this condition piece comes in handy. So, but that's pretty much it. You can do automations for everything. And if you mess up, you can just, click over here and start over. It's a super simple way to properly segment out your audiences and, get them into the right groups and send them the right emails. And so, again, I know it's a super popular topic that has been going on in the group. Once you're done with it, you just hit on. Excuse me. We're going to go back. And then you'll see that now your automation is here. And that's it. That's how you create a form and start an automation sequence for your email series. So I really hope that helped cleared up some of your questions. If not, please leave a comment below and I will get back to you. I will check it out and see what else I can do to help you. And so again, I am super excited for you because if you're in this step, that means that you're in the path of, you're getting serious about your email marketing, which is truly a big deal. And so if you're here and you're watching this video, then you're already taking steps into the right direction. And I am so proud of you. So I hope you have an awesome day. Please subscribe if you haven't and feel free to leave me any questions down below. and have an awesome, awesome day. Cheers to blogging. Bye.